First time in Dowdy-Ficklin this preseason camp for our first scrimmage. We tried to get out here earlier in the week, but it was raining a little bit. Didn't want to tear up the grass. But, you know, just anytime you can get out in Dowdy and know how special this is, and for our players to kind of experience this is pretty special. And Coach Steve Shankweiler went through the history of the stadium last night, and our players got to hear about that and just, you know, what makes this place special. When I told them today, it's like, you know, it's a special place, and that's Greenville, that's East Carolina, that's Pirate Nation, all that. But what really makes it special is your effort and how hard you play. You can make this place light up. And I thought we did a decent job with our effort and our energy today. Obviously, the execution piece isn't quite where we need it to be. It's scrimmage number one. That's kind of what you would expect. Now we got to go build on that. Today was kind of more of a scrimmage back and forth a little bit. Next week, when we go back at it, will be more of a game simulation. We'll do a little bit more scenarios instead of just putting the ball down and play. But I thought the guys, for overall, you know, competed really well. Kind of proud of the offense does some things there. And you would expect that. The offense to be a little bit further ahead of the defense right now because of the continuity there and some guys coming back. But overall, I thought we did some decent things.
I thought Keaton had a big day.
You know, anytime you got your quarterback back, and we talked about it, you know, it's the first time since 21, 22, and he's starting to pick up where he left off last season. Just, you know, outstanding young man and really leading. And you can see just calm, cool, and collective out there. He doesn't panic. You know, most of the things went his way today, so that made it a little easier too.
What impressed you the most in the first scrimmage?
I would say just the effort, you know, on both sides of the ball. You didn't really have a letdown. You know, they kept going at it. And that's hard sometimes when you're at practice all the time and coaches are on the field chasing you and making sure you're running the ball, and they're out there with their energy, and all of a sudden you make the coaches off the sideline and they quit holding your hand, and now you got to go out there and still execute at a high level and still keep your energy and effort up. So I thought that was good. You know, some of those young D linemen I think continued to impress. Don Mooney, Josiah Dwyer, Evan Powell. I think those three kids, you know, I don't know how many snaps we'll see from this fall, but those three kids, you can tell like they're going to be really good players one day.
Just how important is it for that effort to be 100% in this type of scrimmage?
That's where we got to start. You know, if you're having to coach effort, you're having to coach energy or attitude, those things, then we're in trouble. You know, but I think that's where it starts, and that's what our culture's got to be about. You know, nobody plays harder than we do, and that's what we got to lead with. And I tell our players all the time, you know, if somebody turns on the tape, they're not going to talk about what type of scheme you are. They're going to talk about how hard you play the game, how physical you play the game, and that's where we got to start. And that's kind of been what these guys do a really good job at from day one.
What's the biggest difference you've seen from a practice setting to a scrimmage one?
You know, as soon as you get out here, it's kind of you know, as I mentioned just a second ago, just the coaches are off the field and they're no longer telling you, hey, remember this, or don't forget this step, or your alignment here. And now all of a sudden you're looking at the players, they got to do it themselves. So that, and you kind of get some more, you know, and that's what you got to build toward. Practice kind of gets you ready for scrimmage. Scrimmage kind of gets you ready for a game. And every day, it's our jobs as coaches to put them in those situations to build up to a game. And to August 28th.
How much are you looking at NC State versus your own team at
Yeah,
this point?
right now it's about ourselves, us. You know, our opponent is us every day, and we go at it every day and just build our fundamentals, our culture, the way we play the game. We got about another week of this, of just kind of in camp mode, and then we're trying to turn our focus to the first opponent.
I know Coach Aldridge was. He wanted to see the tackling. So what did you think about the tackling scrimmage?
I never think the tackling is good early in the season. Of course, you know, being a defensive coach most of life, I don't know if it'll ever be good enough for me. But you know, we got to improve on that, and hopefully some of that is our offensive players too, making them miss and making guys, you know, not do a good job tackling. And hopefully that's part of it, and I believe it is. But we got to, you know, continue to take the extra step, get our feet to contact, run through contact, keep our eyes up, keep our knees bent, all those things. And the other portion of it too is we call it just, you know, finishing. And that's hard to do sometimes in practice because you're trying to stay off the ground, keep everybody up for safety issues, and all of a sudden you get in a live situation, game situation, you want to go finish on the pile or push the pile forward if you're an offensive lineman. So we got to continue to emphasize that. I think that's probably the one takeaway from an effort stand piece, that we got to go back and practice a little bit, and that's tough to simulate because of the way you practice and the way you try to get through practice safely.
What position battles became a little bit more clear today after you got to see those guys?
You know, I think there's several. You know, the guys on the edge up front, Raheem Craig, I thought did a really good job. You know, Jamarly Riddle does a great job in secondary. Rasheed Reason's a corner that just came to us this summer. I think you're starting to see some flashes by him that he could be on the field for us this fall.
Obviously, you had the kickers kind of going at the end there with the guys distracting them. Has anyone kind of separated in that competition?
That's probably the one position I think we don't have quite separation yet, you know, and that's kind of wanting to put them under a little pressure there and under the attention of the whole football team. Sometimes you're out here kicking by yourself, nobody's around, that's fairly easy. But you put a little pressure on them there, and they go at it. You know, you get all 150 eyes or whatever it is on them, and I thought they hit the ball well. And you know, they give us a little range, a little bit different than last year. You know, you feel like you had to get inside the 25 or so to be in scoring range. Now I feel like we can back that thing up a little bit, and you can hear the sound of it too. It just sounds different when it comes off their foot there.
In terms of growth, just how happy are you with where your team's at from first preseason practice to where you are right now?
I'll never be happy. I mean, that's probably just part of being a coach, and probably, you know, your standard and expectations is you're always pushing forward. So I don't know, happy is the right word. I am glad we're going in the right direction and moving in the right direction, but we got a lot of work to get done. We got to keep at it every single day. You know, if we stay the same between now and August 28th, we're in trouble. So we got to go find a way to get better every single day. And these guys have done a pretty good job of going and attacking it. I mean, I think Coach Tess talked about climbing the mountain the other day in our little thought of the day for our staff meeting, and talked about, hey, every single day you climbing that mountain, and we just got to continue to climb it and keep going and keep rising every single day.
One more question.
Coach, a lot of family members and kids running around at the end of this thing. How important is it to you to not only get better at football, but have that kind of family environment?
I think this is, you know, I learned as I was an assistant coach. I've only been doing this for a short time period, but as an assistant coach, that stuff matters. This stuff is important. Just, you know, having a situation or an environment where your kids can come out and your family can come out, and not only for, you know, the coaches, but also for our players. And our players being able to see us being dads and being husbands, and how important that is, and being role models. You know, we're helping these young men on the field, but also off the field, grow up to, you know, be successful in life, and one day they're going to be dads and fathers and husbands. And if we can role model that and demonstrate that, I think that's a good start. So, thank you guys. Appreciate everything y'all do.